My career was just a universe answering me over and over and over again. And me being bold and bullish enough to extract everything that I needed to from every one of those situations.
If there's a path that you know has been laid out for you, start to walk that path.
Yes, you just have to walk it.
Because the road is going to be built under your feet.
Absolutely.
The universe is going to provide the stepping stones for it.
Your dreams will make room for you.
Always. Welcome to the Shaping Freedom podcast, where we dive into conversations that inspire personal growth, transformation, and clarity in challenging times. I'm your host, Lisane Basquiat. I'm feeling really giddy this morning, very, very excited. Today, I'm sitting down with someone who has built a career and now a company by trusting her voice and honoring her roots. Ingrid Best is the founder of IBest Wines, a brand shaped by culture, creativity, and the belief that representation belongs everywhere, including in the wine industry. Before stepping into entrepreneurship, Ingrid spent 2 decades leading some of the biggest names in wines and spirits. But there came a point where she knew it was time to create something that reflected her story, her values, and her vision for what this industry could be. And she did exactly that. In this conversation, we're going to talk about the leap from corporate success to building a global brand from scratch. We talk about identity, purpose, and the courage it takes to walk away from what's familiar. And we'll also explore how she uses wine as a medium to elevate culture, community, and legacy. This is a conversation about trusting your calling, even when it doesn't come with guarantees. It's about building with intention and leading from who you are, not who others expect you to be. I've had the pleasure of starting to build a friendship with Ingrid Best. And I'm so excited that you said yes.
Thank you.
To sitting down to have this conversation with me, Ingrid.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah.
And it's funny because from the first time I met you, I felt like I was meeting one of my cousins that I hadn't met before. And you know that feeling you get? You're just like, this is family.
I do. And I felt the same way. And that's why I said like building a friendship, right? Like taking the leap into, we're building a friendship. Yeah. And every time we see each other, we're like, oh my God, hi, hey. How are you? And someone would think that we have known each other and that we've kikied, over years. And there's just this beautiful energy that you radiate, Ingrid.
Thank you.
That is so generous and so authentic and purposeful that one can't help, but smile when they see you,
Thank you.
Before we get into the conversation a little deeper, I also want to say, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, there is, by the way, the Shaping Freedom podcast YouTube channel. Please take a look at it. But Ingrid bought me a beautiful gift today, and I had a different shirt on, and I was like, I'm wearing this. I'm rocking this one today. It matches, and even if it didn't, I wouldn't care. So thank you so much for this gift. It's a beautiful sweatshirt. Where can people get this?
Actually, they are all sold out, but our new merch is coming. If you go to ibestwines.com, you'll see what we used to have, which is what the hoodie that you have on. I saved a few for special folks, and I wanted to make sure you had one.
I appreciate it.
But new merch is coming.
Okay, well, I'm wearing this bad behind hoodie, right? And it's been chilly. It's been raining in LA, in Southern California for days. It's really sunny today, but I feel nice and cozy in this. So I took off what I had and put this on instead. And thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I want to talk, first of all, I want to help people to understand who you are, right? And where you've come from. And from there, we'll kind of walk into IBest Wines, which is a wine that people see everywhere. You are everywhere with your wine. If someone were to meet you for the first time today, how would you describe who you are before you describe what you do or what you've created?
Yeah. I would start with, I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother. And I'm a daughter and I'm a sister and I'm a really good friend. I would start there. And then naturally, I would share that I'm a great leader and I'm a brand builder. But I think first and foremost, when I think about who I am, I think about the fact that I became a mom when I was 18 years old. And so I've been a mom for a long time. And it is the one title and the one job that I'm most proud of. You know, that for me gives me my biggest sense of purpose. Mm. And even with, you know, all the things that I've done, it's always been so that I can be an example to my son. Mm. And so that he can look back at the teenage mom that he knew, right? Because we grew up together, and be really proud of who I've become and who I'm becoming. And so that's how I would describe who Ingrid is. She's a mom. She's now a grandmother. Yes, I'm a grandmother.
How old is your grandchild?
He's 2.
Oh.
He's 2 years old. And I'll tell you, when I tell people I'm a grandmother, they're like, how are you a grandmother? You know, I guess I don't look like a grandmother.
I know. Like, what is that about though, right? Like grandmothers come in all levels of energy.
All vibrations.
That's right. All vibrations. Yeah. And you are a grandma who is pioneering the way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I'm excited for when my grandson can really digest what it is that I do, put the wine to the side because he's too young for that. Mm-hmm. But someone who is shaping culture, mm-hmm. is shaping freedom. Yeah. You know, yeah. I'm excited for him to be able to digest, you know, my grandmother is cool. You know,
it's going to feel good. I promise you. So what you don't know about me, or may not know about me, is that I had my son Joseph when I was 18. Mm-hmm. I had my son Joseph 3 weeks after my 18th birthday. Mm-hmm. And the experience of raising a son and kind of raising myself up alongside raising a son is a very unique experience. Very unique. And I have a grandson, Xavier, who's now 18 years old.
Wow.
Right?
That I didn't know.
Yeah, who's now 18 years old. And I love that for you. Mm-hmm. I love that for you because what your grandson gets to see is how his grandmother is showing up in the world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'll tell you, the journey of being a young parent is deep, and only if you've experienced it do you know. Mm-hmm. And a big part of my life is giving my son some other things to experience with me, because when you are a young parent, that child is experiencing everything.
That's right.
With you. Mm-hmm. Every experiment, every immature moment, they are right there. Mm-hmm. And so it's always nice to talk to someone that understands what I'm talking about without even having to go into detail.
Yeah.
You know, but when I thought about having more kids, for instance, down the road, it was always, it would be nice to be an adult and have a child, mm-hmm. because I was so young. Even when I look at pictures of myself with mm-hmm. my son, I'm like,
I was a baby.
I mean, there are pictures of me where with this baby and I'm like, oh my God.
That girl.
I look like I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
You know, like that he was obviously my brother.
Right, right.
But that's who I would say I am. Yeah. I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother and, you know.
What brought you into, wow, now I have all kinds, and I'm like, which direction do we go? Tell me a little bit about tell us a little bit about how you made the transition from something as profound as having a child at mm-hmm. that age, right? So that is a very different trajectory in terms of career, in terms of what you chose to do, and how did you wind up working in wine and spirits? And what was, if you don't mind, like, and I'm asking because there were other women like you, like myself, who could be at that same place and who decide or who believe that, I've had this child at this age and this means that my life is over. Mm-hmm. Or what am I going to do now? Or this is now going to be the thing that defines the rest of my life in a negative way. So if you had the opportunity, or this is the opportunity, to speak to someone else who may be in that place today, can you tell us a little bit about your path from that perspective and speaking to that person?
Yeah. So for me, I remember my mom telling me this story once, that she had a reading and that the woman told her, your daughter is a star. And she told me that story I was pretty young. That didn't register to me until it was time for me to figure out what I was going to do as a teenage mom. And I remember the moment being reminded of that conversation, like, you're a star. And I took that and I was like, okay, there's not anything I can't do. So just go figure it out, go do it, because you're a star.
That's right.
You know? And so the first thing I want to say to any young person, whatever the thing that you're navigating, whether it's being a parent really young, not having your parents really young, whatever your thing is, remember that you're put on this earth to be great.
That's right.
And if no one's ever told you that, for me, what my mom said to me was, you're here to be great. That's how I heard it. But I'm saying to the person that may be listening today, you're here to be great. So first start with that, knowing that you've been put on this earth to do something. And that something, that path is not going to be easy. It wasn't easy for me. I had my son at 18. I always wanted to go to a Black college. All my friends went away to a Black college. I didn't. I stayed home. I was nursing my son while in classes. It was too hard. I dropped out of college. I was so hard on myself about that because I was like, I always wanted to be the girl that had the college experience.
Yeah.
And I literally just figured out how to make money. And how I did that was street promotions. So years ago, there were a lot of...
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Bay Area.
Okay.
So my parents are New Yorkers. I was born in New York. My mother's Puerto Rican, so I'm half Puerto Rican. That's why I said I feel like we're cousins.
Yes, we are somewhere.
And when my mother moved from New York, we moved to San Francisco. And so... and then I moved to Oakland. So by this point, coming out of high school, I was living in Oakland. And I always like to say I got my muscle from Oakland.
I got mine from Brooklyn. So I get it.
I got my muscle from Oakland. And I had to figure out what I was going to do. I love music. I'd always been connected to kind of the scene and culture and this and that. And from a bi-coastal lens, because when you have parents that are from New York and you're going back and forth, it's pretty dynamic.
Yeah, it is.
I had a pulse on what was happening in the West Coast, but I also it's such a gift. And my best friend and I started a street promotions company years ago. There were lots of record labels, incredible music. This is when hip hop was just amazing. And we knew all the DJs. We started a record pool. Like, we were the it girls. We were promoting all, the artists. And that's how I made money. I interned for Sway. I learned so much from him. And then we started our own company. And I remember always telling myself, like, you're here to be great. So if you're going to be a street promoter, be a great street promoter. Right. And I was. And then things started to shift and change. Labels started to consolidate. The money was really drying up for street promoters. And I had a friend say to me, you would be really good in the wine and spirits industry. And I had no idea what they were talking about. Out of nowhere, because I was trying to figure it out. I was like, I gotta make some money. I was never doing street promotions to be cool. I was doing it to feed my son.
Yes.
And he said, you would be great wine and spirits. And literally in my mind, I'm thinking spirits, like tarot cards. Like, what are you talking about? I had no idea what he was talking about. And he goes, well, all these brands, these liquor brands that are in the nightclubs, which I was very familiar with nightclubs because of what I did. He's like, there are teams that are building those stories and marketing those brands and you would be really good at that. And I went on Craigslist. I told y'all I'm a grandmother. I went on Craigslist and there was an ad to launch a brand. And everything that it said the person needed to be, I was like, highly connected, big thinker, access to, the bar and lounge scene. I'm like, I know I could do all those things, right? Yeah. And I landed an ambassador role launching a boutique high-end rum for Diageo, one of the largest liquor companies in the world, as an ambassador. But this specific project allowed me to touch so many different components of the industry that I almost, it was like a crash course in everything you would ever need to know. And I was so inquisitive because to me, every experience was like, this is my opportunity to get what I would have gotten if I would have finished college.
Yeah.
That's how I thought about everything.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm in school, learn it. And I was really good at it. And a lot of it is storytelling, right? You're telling the story of these brands, you're connecting with consumers. And from there, that is how I entered the wine and spirits industry. I entered as an ambassador and I worked my way up. And I, from managerial roles, which, one thing Black and brown people experience is that they'll keep us in a manager role forever. And so what I did while I spent so many years as a manager in the industry was I learned at the highest level.
You used that as an opportunity.
I used it and I would just learn and get obsessed with like, I need to learn everything there is to know about this business. And even though they're going to keep me at this manager level, I'm already an executive.
That's right.
That's how I approached it.
Because you're a star.
Because I'm a star.
Because you're a star.
And I remember, I would always remember that conversation from my mom. So I got into this business, I would say from the intuition of a friend. And then me being curious. And I believe it was my destiny, to answer an ad on Craigslist. And then eventually now I'm the founder of my own global brand.
That's right.
There is some destiny in that. But to take it back to what I would say to someone, you are put on this earth to be great. And the path to greatness is a long one.
Thank you for sharing that. Right. And it's also, I mentioned about an 18-year-old or a young person who's entering into the role of parenting. But I think that's also true of anyone who's entering into the role of parenting, right? We were talking to someone a few minutes ago who's a very grown adult who's like, I'm scared.
I'm terrified
of this new role, right? And so I think that the fact that you were able to say yes, the fact that you were able to hear and receive someone saying, you're a star, you're great. And the fact that you were able to use that as a seed to plant the way that you chose to move forward, I think is another way of saying yes to opportunity, because that's also an opportunity.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to walk the path of life with that as your kind of guiding light.
Yeah. And I think also what it helped me do was there were a lot of things that were signaling that I wasn't a star. Like I didn't go to the Black college that I wanted to go to.
Yeah.
I didn't have the same experience that my peers had. They were all calling me, girl, homecoming. And I'm like, this baby is driving me nuts.
The baby's homecoming.
Yeah, this baby home.
Yeah.
But all those things can tear away at whether or not you believe you are still having a great experience in life, because we've been told there are some things that equal great experiences in life, right? And so I think it's also understanding that your path is your path. It's uniquely yours. And if you can just remember that like you're blessed to be living whatever the path may be, and to remove the judgment. There were times where I could never actually say, like, I dropped out of college, I didn't get a degree. Because the assumption was, I had worked all these organizations that required a degree, right? But it was my destiny to get those jobs. And it wasn't easy to always just say, I didn't do it this way. Yeah. I did it this way. Mm-hmm. And I think people have to also give themselves grace, right? Yes. You have to give yourself grace in whatever your path and your story is, because it is uniquely yours.
And I think it's important to own it.
Yeah, you got to own it.
Which is what you seem to have done. And I think what's interesting is, and we have to sit down and like have some IBest wine and chit chat about some of this. We don't have time for it today, but I will say this. I felt a lot of the same kind of, wow, I stepped off the path that was laid out for me. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm the daughter of a Haitian father, a Puerto Rican mother, and there was a plan for me to, you know, graduate from high school, go to college. And because I had Joseph, that didn't happen in quite that way.
Right.
And I actually went back much later and went to school as a night student while I was working a full-time job in corporate. And at the time, everyone, the measure for success and achievement was about the climb through someone else's ladder, right? Put yourself on that path and make your way through the organization, through manager to leader and all that. And in the beginning, it was hard for me to admit when people would ask, because especially in New York, that's the first question. What are you doing? Where'd you go to school?
Yeah, where'd you go to school?
Where'd you go to school? What are you doing? And it was like, well, you know, I'm doing this now and I'm kind of finding my way. But I think when I think about it, I would not have been happy going down that path. Yeah. That was not the right path for me at all. All right, can we talk a moment about setting the vibe? If you're anything like me, your space needs to feel good in order for you to feel good. And that's why I created the Shaping Freedom line of candles. It's not just about ambiance, but really about how you align yourself internally. These are more than just candles. They shift your energy. Whether you're journaling, meditating, working out, or just taking a moment for yourself, these scents are curated to ground you, lift you up, and bring you back home to yourself. They also have an 80-hour burn time and scents that are designed to evoke feelings of alignment and internal congruency. And we can all use that. Go to shop.shapingfreedom.com and check them out. Find the one that speaks to your spirit, or buy all 4, and let them burn with intention. So you've built and are building this global brand, and you've done incredible things. And I want to take a step back in a minute to kind of like talk about how we got there. But what do you think your life would have been like, or how different would your life have been had you taken those steps and gone to that college that you wanted to go to and attended that homecoming?
Yeah. It's funny because I realized a few years ago that life wound up giving me pretty much everything that I've always wanted. Yeah. A good big part of my network and peer group are Black college graduates.
See?
People assume all the time, like, what Black college did you go to? We're doing this HBCU program. We want you involved in it, you know, all the things, right? And so I've been able to have a lot, I think, of the experiences that I wish I would have had then, because that's just how the universe operates. Right. The universe hears you.
That's right.
In your desires. I believe one day I will get an honorary degree from Howard University, because that's where I really wanted to go.
You just said it. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I say it all the time now. But I do think that I don't think about it a lot. This is a great question. But what I realize about that path is that if you take advantage of the network, the people, the tribe that comes with those experiences, oftentimes it unlocks quite a bit.
That's right.
And so I do believe that it could have potentially unlocked some things for me sooner, right? That's one way I look at it. But I did something a couple years ago, I think 2022, I gave myself this gift, because I'd always thought about like, would Ingrid be like on a college campus? Like I didn't have that experience. So I went to the BEMS program at Harvard Business School. It's a 4-day program.
Okay.
And I did that to give the gift to my younger self of the experience of a university, and to like close the chapter and close, I think, the thoughts around, can I do this? Could I have been able to do the college thing?
Yeah.
And that 4-day program, which is amazing, it is an amazing program. It's focused on entertainment, sports, and media. And I mean, my classmates were, it's just amazing. The alum from the BEMS program is amazing. Mm-hmm. And I love the experience. I've stayed connected to the classmates and to the professor, and I did great.
Yeah.
And I gave that gift to myself, because I do think that there was a part of me that had always wondered, like, what would I have been had I done that? And you really gotta you gotta close that chapter. You gotta let that go.
Bring it to completion.
But that was my way of bringing it to completion, and it was a great experience. But I do think, just to answer bluntly, I think it could have accelerated some things.
Okay.
Because I do think that there is an unlock there. And when I see, even in mentoring young people, the young people that are coming through the college system and, their peer group and who they have to lean on, it's really beautiful. Mm-hmm. I got it in a different way. But I have no regrets. It wasn't my path. Mm-hmm. I was never really a school person, but I have a great personality. So the teachers love me. So I knew how to navigate school, but I wasn't necessarily the kid that was up studying all the time. And, and so I'm also very realistic with, like, it might have not just been the experience for me as well. But I do think that there is an unlock when you go that path. And for the people that are really going that path, I'm happy for them. Right. And so I guess that would be my answer.
Yeah. I love that you did something to bring a part of the younger Ingrid's life to completion.
Yeah.
I think that's so important, because there is an acknowledgement there that there is that part of you that maybe kind of just needed you to close a door, not shut it, but just kind of bring it full circle for yourself.
I did.
How did that feel?
It felt amazing. I'll tell you, the days leading up, and I don't have imposter syndrome, but the days leading up to, flying out to Boston and checking in for the program at Harvard, I was so nervous. And there was a part of me that was like, maybe I'll do it next year. Like all of that I think insecurity from my younger self showed itself, because that's just not,
which is beautiful.
It was great. I needed to,
because she needed to kind of come up to the surface so that you could
I needed to face 18-year-old Ingrid or 19-year-old Ingrid who did what she could at San Francisco State and then just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And then the 25-year-old who was like, go back, year old Ingrid, who was hustling and building and making money. I had to face her. I had to face the Ingrid in her 30s that would avoid the question when people would say, what school did you go to? And I'd say, I went to San Francisco State. And I'd come up with this romanticizing of this thing that you're like, you don't have to do that.
Right.
Your path is your path.
Is your life.
And it is okay.
Yeah.
And so it was intense the days leading up. And the moment I walked into that classroom, I had so much joy. I was so happy when I saw my name amongst all of those students. When I sat in my group and we were reading the case studies, when I raised my hand the first time and the professor called on me, it was like, girl.
You were present.
I was so
that
present.
Experience.
And I could feel this younger self just being like, thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you for giving yourself this moment at this, keep in mind, this is Harvard Business School, you know, at the highest level. And I'm so glad I did it. And there have been other little things that I've done. I injured myself on a bike, and I didn't ride a bike for years. And in the pandemic, I got back on a bike. And so I'm real clear about, I think, those things that traumatize you a bit, you got to face them.
When you leave a bunch of scraggly pieces behind, they just get longer and longer.
They get longer
and
longer.
Continue to stay with you.
Yeah.
Right? And you can't always necessarily, it's not every single thing, but the things that matter.
Yeah.
And the things that are part of your present, even if you're not paying attention to them, it's so important to resolve those things.
It is. And again, I think if you're a person that believes in living your authentic self, then there's no other way to do it.
That's right.
Because the truth is, you are still the younger person that might have that thing. It doesn't go away.
Right.
And I really believe in living exactly as I am.
We appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
You're such a courageous human.
Thank you,
Ingrid. Such a courageous woman, and filled with integrity. And by integrity, I mean that integrity to yourself, to your path, to what you heard and know, and what was programmed into you about yourself, and to the roles that you have, during on your path as a mother, as a grandmother, as a leader, and as a brand builder. I said we'd go back a little bit.
Let's go back.
Okay, so now you're on this path. You're an ambassador. You're working for some of the biggest names in the wine and spirits industry. So tell us a bit about how you, like a little bit more, whatever you want to continue to share about that journey. And then when was the moment that you decided, wait a minute, I'm going to do this for myself?
Yeah. So my path was a tremendous one. I, again, got exposed to the wine and spirits industry at the highest level because that is what I wanted the experience to be, right? And so hindsight, I think back to a lot of times where I was like, I can't believe I didn't get promoted. Like I would go for the job and I wouldn't get promoted. And I was like, all right, that's okay. These are my goals for this year, to learn, these sets of things. And so it wasn't until my last role that really I think I was titled correctly, compensated correctly. And it took years. It took many years. But all the while, I think the universe heard that I wanted to do something great in this industry. And so it was giving me all the things that I needed. And so, I went from Diageo to LVMH, the Moet Hennessy portfolio. I then went to Bacardi and ran a large joint venture that allowed me to do global expansion work for a brand. And that was where I landed in South Africa. And I always like to say, I had traveled the world. I had multiple passports. I had never been to Africa, like many of us.
Me neither. I've not been.
Oh, girl, we going.
I would love to.
Oh my God,
what's so interesting is that this is the third person that I've had this conversation with this year.
I was literally on the phone,
and I really mean it.
Yeah.
So you let me know.
No, I'm serious.
Okay.
And this is it's the universe. I was on the phone with the city of Atlanta last night. There is a direct flight from Atlanta
We're doing it.
to South Africa. That is how I built this brand. We'll talk about that a bit.
Yeah.
But I was talking to a dear friend that works at the mayor's office, and she was saying, I was so ashamed to admit that, that last trip that I took was my first time on continent. I said, don't be ashamed to admit that. We need to tell the story that as Black Americans, oftentimes we will travel the entire world
and never hit that big continent.
That is
huge.
And let me tell you that South Africa unlocked my superpower.
This is what I have heard. It
unlocked my superpowers.
I've heard, and I want to go and get some of my superpower unlocked in South Africa.
So we're going to talk about that more.
Okay. Yes.
But it was through running this joint venture that I landed on the continent, and in true Ingrid fashion, I was like, I'm going to learn everything there is to know about global marketing, what brands are doing here, what the real landscape is, how do I get here the fastest and as often as I can possibly get here. And through that experience, I traveled to South Africa, I traveled to Nigeria, and I traveled to Ghana. So you go from never going to the continent to now you've been to these. Yeah, right. And I was so moved by it. And so my very last job, I knew I was like, I'm going to launch my own brand. Originally, I love wine. I thought it would be from California because I'm from California. Yeah. But when I discovered the South African wine region and just how beautiful the region is, the wine, how connected I felt, and how much I knew I would inspire people by that choice, there was no question that the wines, the first wines coming out of IBest Wines would be from South Africa. And so I say all that to say that like this, my career was, it was just a universe answering me over and over and over again. And me being bold and bullish enough to extract everything that I needed to from every one of those situations. And I think the one thing I really want to say is that oftentimes Black and brown folks, our experience in corporate America isn't always great. There were moments that it wasn't great for me, but I took those as opportunities. And so even in how I built this brand and what I've done is from the experiences, the early experiences and experiences that I had in wine and spirits that weren't great. I never owned anything that I built. I never got points on any of the joint ventures that I managed. And I mean, I worked these businesses like they were my own. And it really helped me identify exactly what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. And so for any young person that's listening, my message is in those tough moments and in those challenges, it's typically an opportunity. It's an opportunity to see things differently, to rewrite how you want to see things. And that's what I've been able to do with IBest Wines.
It's a creative endeavor.
It's a creative endeavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even though I started this with, young people, I think that the lessons that you're sharing are true for people at any age.
Any age.
And especially for those of you who are listening who may be allowing your mind to tell you that you've missed your opportunity or that, let the younger people do it. If you have something, if there's a path that has been laid out for you, start to walk that path.
Yes, you just have to walk it.
Because the road is going to be built under your feet.
Absolutely.
The universe is going to provide the stepping stones for it. So start walking it.
Your dreams will make room for you.
Always. Always.
And I think because we just don't hear that enough, we're taught that we shouldn't believe what we hear all the time.
Or we're believing the wrong people. Yeah.
But your dreams, I think for me, it was, I realized, I was like, my dreams are going to make room for me.
That's right.
And my path in this industry was one of I was a manager for years. I could not get promoted. I could, and it wasn't because I shouldn't have been promoted. It's oftentimes just the way that the system is, right? Yeah. But take that.
Do something with it.
And do something with it.
Yeah.
And I think you're probably the first person that I've got this in depth with around the fact that, I was a manager for like 12 years.
I was in corporate for a long time, very hard worker. And there was like some secret unlocking thing that had to happen.
Yeah.
That
you're like, what do I have to do?
What's going on here? And eventually it started to turn the corner. And I think, because I'm thinking about that while we're talking, that in some way, although I wasn't as conscious of it, it was like I had to prove to myself that I could get to where I wanted to be before I was able to release myself from it to move on to the next thing.
I 1000% agree.
Yeah, and it took a long time, and it was frustrating, very frustrating. But I think that when you know that there's a path, when you know what you're here to do, it makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
Even though it's still challenging.
Yeah.
You know?
And you just got to give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to quiet your ego.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I work in an industry that there's a lot of egos. And I learned years ago, there is no place for ego if your goal is really to be great.
In anything.
In anything.
Yeah.
In anything. Your ego is not your friend.
That's right.
And you know, posture and not being authentic is never going to lead you to the thing that equals some level of happiness. And for me, success is happiness. Mm-hmm. If I'm not happy, I'm not filled with joy in what I'm doing, then I'm, in my mind, not successful. I don't know. I don't care what money is tied to it or, you know, notoriety or whatever. Ultimately, the measure of success for me is happiness and freedom.
Yes. There are some things that your story illustrates. One is incredible courage, really strong work ethic, personal integrity, a plan, vision, a sense of adventure, and the ability to kind of take a step back and look at things from a more holistic perspective. Some of that has to have already been in you, as it is for many people, right? Yeah. What has cultivated those aspects of your personality or those aspects of your being?
Yeah, you know, more now than ever, I realize how much having a Puerto Rican mother from the Bronx who packed up with little to no education, illiterate for a part of her life, packed up my sister and I, got on a Greyhound bus, traveled to San Francisco from New York. The courage that takes. So I think courage has been a theme for my family for a long time. And you don't know that's courage at the time.
Yeah.
I also think the blessing and the beauty of literally growing up bi-coastal. So being in San Francisco, and for anyone who has spent time in San Francisco or knows anything about San Francisco, it was a very, very, very diverse place, a really dynamic place. And traveling back and forth from San Francisco to New York to visit my grandmother and my family, my exposure to culture, I wish people could be exposed to culture the way I've been exposed to culture, which is why that's such a big part of my personal thesis, right? So I would say courage and culture have always been really deeply rooted just in my life and my life experience. Community, because when you move from one place to another, you know, your friends and your chosen family become everything for you. And so community was always at the center of my experience. The people and the women and friends and that my mom, you know, met along her journey in San Francisco, community has always been something that's been profoundly a part of what I know helps us live a happy life, you know? So courage, culture, community, I mean, they were just at the center of my life. And then I think authenticity, because there was a period of time as a young person where, you know, I would say I'm Puerto Rican, and in San Francisco, they're like, what are you talking about? You're a Black girl.
Oh, yeah.
And you're forced to have to like try to explain, you know, why you have plátanos and aguacate in your lunch. And so once you get comfortable enough in life to just say, I'm going to be my authentic.
This is what's going on.
I'm going to help you understand it. Authenticity for me has always been where freedom exist because you're just yourself.
That's right.
You know? And so I think those early themes really shaped who I am today. Mm-hmm. And I didn't always know this. I couldn't always answer this question like this.
Yeah.
But it's very clear to me that my early childhood and my experience, whether they be good or bad, really, really, really molded who I am today and how I approach every part of my life, and especially my business.
Yeah. Let's talk about IBest Wine.
Let's talk about it.
Because let me tell you, you were a wine sponsor during the King Pleasure exhibition. I see your wine everywhere. You recently started a subscription.
Yes.
I signed up.
Yay.
Okay. Y'all sign up for this subscription. Please. I live down in San Diego. I haven't been able to find it.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping you can do something about it.
Soon.
Yes. I was surprised when I asked you how long IBest Wines has been around. And how long has it been?
2 years.
Girl.
I know.
My goodness, what you have done in 2 years with this brand. And this is also going back to the story that you've been taking us through, which is you planted all these seeds, you did all of this so that over the course of 2 years, your brand could blow up into what it is right now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about IBest.
Thank you.
Wine.
Yeah.
Please.
So IBest Wines is my namesake. And, you know, I remember the early part of my career, you know, researching these brands that I was working on, and a lot of them were family names. And my last name happens to be Best. And my first initial is I. So I always say to people, I'm the I in IBest Wines.
That's right. There you go.
And it is a brand that had been in my head and my heart for many, many years. Again, I didn't really realize how special it was going to be until I landed in South Africa and discovered the South African wine region. And IBest Wines is really a gift to myself. It is a rewriting of my experience in this wine and spirits industry, because as I mentioned, you know, for many, many years, I sat as a manager, this and that. I didn't, you know, so as the founder and CEO of this brand, you know, I have commanded the highest title for myself in an industry that I love and in a brand that I now own. I built the brand alongside 5 other women, some of whom were my mentees, women who I was admirers of, that I went out and said, hey, do you want to have this idea? Do you want to be a part of it? And they all said yes. And one of the biggest things that I wanted to do was make sure that these women had equity in the brand, because that was something that I didn't get. And I should have at some instances, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And so the brand is built with an equity model. They have equity in the business. The first 5 investors were all Black women, which I'm very proud of, that they believe in me and they believe in the dream. And the brand is rooted in courage and culture and authenticity and in all the things that I really love. And, you know, I'm a fairly new art collector, fairly new to art community, but I will tell you that experience has been so therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
And so my desire to really support the art community by way of having the brand present and having myself present and supporting emerging artists, it's therapy for me.
Yeah.
You know, and even on the journey to build IBest Wines, I spent a lot of time at artist studios, just watching the journey, watching them go through, you know, what it takes to actually get what's inside of them out. And so it really is a love letter to South Africa, a love letter to myself, and a love letter to community. You know, that like we can have brands and experiences with brands that are truly authentic to us. It doesn't have to be a marketing ploy. It doesn't have to be that they're trying to get into our community, but it can be for us, by us in like in a real way.
Yeah.
And A lot of people don't realize the reason why we're everywhere is, like I mentioned earlier, I was a street promoter.
Because you are the hardest working woman in the wine and spirits business. You are everywhere doing all the things.
Yeah, I was a street promoter. So the way that I've approached this is that, you know, the brand should be seen in all the places that we want to be, right? And we are everywhere, but we're actually not everywhere. We are only where we want to be. And we're really deliberate with that. And I'm really happy that my community says to me, you're everywhere, because I'm like, that means that I'm exactly where I want to be, right? And I think there's something to that, right? Because I think brands that really are just everywhere and doing anything, they don't really have a real identity, you know?
Right.
And so we've been really fortunate that we have a strong community, a lot of support. This is a very difficult business. You need a lot of capital to be in the wine and spirits business to compete.
I would imagine.
You know, I invested my own money to build the brand and then welcomed in some investors, and we're still raising, and it's a very difficult climate to raise. But our momentum is fantastic. The launch of subscription puts us in every state except for Utah, which is a huge, huge, huge milestone for us. And we have folks welcoming us that I dreamed of, right? Like being a part of your exhibit was a dream come true. You know, being a part of, you know, the artist opening night at Studio Museum is a dream come true. You know, being poured at, you know, small, intimate art dinners and conversations is really, for me, a dream come true.
Wow.
And so this thing is really being powered by a dream come true.
And we feel that. And we feel that. What's next? What's the next evolution of this brand?
Honestly, what's next is, I think for most founders, we would say, we just need the stamina to keep going. And I always answer this question that way because this is not easy. You know, being an entrepreneur is hard. It's grueling. And
it's 365. It's having a child that you have to.
I'm so glad you said that, because another reason why IBest Wines is what it is because it is my second baby.
That's right.
So I had one son and I always wanted more kids, but I didn't do it. And this is like
here
my child. Yeah, here she is. There's actually had twins. Those are the sisters.
The twins. There she is.
You know, and
is.
so
That's right.
Yeah, I think what's next is making sure that I'm taking care of myself so I have the stamina to continue to go. We do have some additional variants that we're launching. Right now we have the white blend and the red blend. They're both award winning. We're really proud of them. They're tasty.
They are.
They're tasty. But we have more coming. And then I want to venture into food products because I love to cook. And so I've already got my eyes set on something that would be the extension of kind of food and in your kitchen even more. You know, I really want to curate art shows. It's something that's in my heart. I want to launch a philanthropic arm of IBest Wines once we've hit the revenue milestones, to support in that kind of a way that really supports the art community in a meaningful way. So I'd love to talk to you about that more.
Absolutely.
Because I'm being really intentional with it. I don't want to just do anything. I want to do something that makes sense and that really serves a need. But the philanthropic part of this business is probably where I will retire. Is in service, because that's really ultimately what this want is really to do. About. It's what it's about.
It's wine, but it's also in service to the community. It's in service to culture. It's in service to everyone who has a dream and decides that they're going to put I was going to say pedal to the metal, but you know what I mean? That they're going to actually make the thing happen.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I always tell people my mother was a nurse, my sister was a teacher, and I'm in the wine and spirits business. And so I had always wanted to find a way to do work in service of, because the women in my life, they have served community at the highest level. My sister's an amazing teacher. My mother was an amazing nurse, caregiver. And so for me, I'm like, yeah, you can be in an industry that quote unquote isn't necessarily of service and be of service. And so that is like hugely important for me. Yeah. And so I would say that's what's next, but I'm trying to be really present. I'm trying to enjoy the moment because I think so much of us just don't give ourselves the opportunity to enjoy the moment. I still get really giddy when I walk in the room and I see the wine. I get so many texts all day. I wake up in the morning, there's texts coming in from overnight. I'm at this, look at the wine, I'm at, and I'm so grateful to people and how much they've rallied behind me and this brand. And so what's next is like just really celebrating that and hopefully sustaining what it is that we're setting out to do. And ultimately, I'm building this brand for acquisition. I recognize what building billion-dollar companies does for our community and the wealth gap. And I'm very clear that I want to help in any shape or form future entrepreneurs that have dreams that need investment and need support, especially because I know how hard it's been for me.
Yeah. Ingrid, how can we support you?
I would say first thing is pray for me, pray for my mind and my heart, because entrepreneurship is really about the person is building themselves. Yeah, there's this brand we're building, but you're really, this is such a journey in developing who you are at the highest level. So I would say sending me good energy is the first thing. The second thing, IBestWines.com. Read our story, get to know about us. We also have a section on the website called Global Creatives. It's dedicated to people discovering wonderful creative people in the world. Buy the wine if you're a wine drinker or if you want a gift. It's perfect for gifting. Sign up for subscription so it's delivered right to your door.
One less thing to do.
One less thing to do.
Service.
Yep. It's the art of wine delivered to your door.
That's right.
And then I would say when you're out and about and you're at restaurants and we were having this conversation, you're like, tell me what I need to do. Ask for us. A lot of the brands that you've seen have success in a lot of industries is because their community just made sure that the industry knew that it was desired, right? So if you're at your local wine shop, if you're at a restaurant, if you're ordering a bottle of wine, ask, hey, do you have IBest Wines? You should know about this brand. And that goes a long, long way.
Ingrid, I think part 2 is going to be us.
We need a part 2.
Getting on a plane, heading to South Africa and having the rest of this conversation there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So much. Thank you so much. As I mentioned in the beginning, I always have like a list of questions just in case. But I love the way that this conversation kind of laid it out itself,
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing what you shared, because I know that your story and your willingness to be candid about some of your journey will help someone who's listening.
Yeah.
Someone who's at a different part of this journey. So thank you so much for being willing to do that. I would encourage all of you to, we often talk about how challenging things are and how we don't always get the representation or the support that we want to have. But something so small and as just asking for the wine, just mention the wine by name, ask for it, get the name of this brand, IBest Wines, out there into the ethers. Such a wonderful way that a person can support, that a lot of people can support this brand and support what you're doing, so that you can get yourself and get IBest Wines, your second child, to to the next level of its evolution. Ingrid, I appreciate you so very much. Thank you for the sweatshirt, because I'm nice and cozy.
And you just gave me a styling idea, because I'm going to put it with some leopard. It looks so good with leopard.
I used to be very much like, I got to wear this with this.
No,
and
that
now I'm
looks
like,
good.
you know what? Listen.
No, it looks good.
It does. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. So, thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
And to you all who are listening, I hope that you were taking notes. You know, sometimes we're in a situation where we're not completely clear about the why or the how we wind up in places where we look forward and we know that there's a huge challenge in front of us, whether it be related to your career and, you know, maybe you're a manager at a company or you're someone who's stepping into parenthood without clarity around how you're actually going to do it. I think that what Ingrid's story tells us and shares with us is that you just have to walk and you have to believe in yourself. And if you've not had someone to pour beautiful words like "you are great, you're a star" into your spirit, I'm telling you, you can do that for yourself.
Absolutely.
Decide how you want to see yourself as you're walking your journey. And it gives you the ability and the roadmap and the North Star to be able to actually fulfill that. So for those of you who listen, thank you so much. Tell someone, share, let us know when you see us on the internet what you thought. If you had any additional questions, put them up in there. I'm sure Ingrid will get to them eventually.
I will.
Yeah. And Ingrid, thank you so very much for taking this time. This was
amazing.
Yeah,
this
really
was amazing.
beautiful.
It's a dream come true.
Yes. Ingrid Best, CEO and founder of IBest Wines. Buy it. And thank you so much for listening. Love and peace.